Hello and welcome to Full Time Review. I'm your host today, Theo Lloyd-Hughes. This is your Monday morning recap of all the biggest stories from the women's soccer weekend. Let's get to it. On Friday night, the Portland Thorns stunned the Orlando Pride. The Pride were coming in on a 24-match unbeaten run, hand-dropped a game this year. It had been 371 days since their last defeat, but 2024 Shield winners were well beaten 2-0 away to the Portland Thorns. This was a big deal for Portland too, who had 6 defeats in their previous 7 matches, no wins since the Olympic break coming into Friday. Head coach Rob Gale and his Thorns really needed a big performance in front of a raucous crowd at Providence Park, and they got it. Portland still need one more point to clinch a playoff spot, but for Orlando this was a bit of a vibe check ahead of the upcoming playoffs. Head coach Seb Hines did make 5 changes to his starting 11 and brought in some of those stars like Barbara Banda, Marta and Emily Sands later on in the game after the hour. But the credit has to go to Portland, who really shut out Orlando and kept things really tight defensively. Big outings from Reina Reyes, Sam Coffey nullified the likes of Ali Watt and Julia Doyle. This match may best be remembered though for Christine Sinclair's goal in the second half, what could be her final ever goal at Providence Park. It was an expertly taken finesse finish to make it 2-0, and it was loud when that ball hit the back.
Over to Sinclair!
Now to the record-breaking Temwa Chawinga. On Saturday night against Bay FC, the Malawian forward for the Kansas City Current scored her 19th goal of the 2024 NWSL season. That is now the most goals ever scored in a single NWSL season, eclipsing Sam Kerr with her total of 18 in 2019 for the Chicago Red Stars. The 1-0 win over Bay FC keeps KC Current in the hunt for the second spot in the table, just 1 point behind Washington Spirit at the moment. That could give them a big home advantage in the semi-finals of the NWSL playoffs if they get there. Chawinga, to score the winning goal and that record-breaking number 19, robbed Kiki Pickett in her own half, drove to the edge of the box and hit an absolute rocket. You can hear Temwa talking about that goal with Jordan Angeli on the broadcast right here.
Temwa, 19 goals this season. It's an NWSL record. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me because it's a very difficult league, but I try my best. I have to work hard to score goals. So I thank my teammate and I thank God for giving me this chance to be here in USA to play soccer here.
Tempa, we talked to you this week and we asked you what your favorite goal was. Well, you didn't have an answer for that, but this one had to have been your most powerful goal. How'd you get so much heat on it?
I don't know, it just happened, I think, because I was trying my best because she pulled me out after that. I still work hard, I'm able to shoot the ball. I found a chance to shoot the ball, so I just put the whole power to score goal. Yeah,
your teammates immediately surrounded you, and Lola Banta is counting on her fingers how many goals you scored. What does it mean to you to play with these players at the Kansas City Current?
It means a lot to me because they are good players, the whole team, and working so hard. So I'm very happy to be with them because they help me a lot. So I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks, Tempa. Congrats on the record.
Thank you so much.
For Bay FC, the defeat means they could not shore up that 8th and final playoff spot. It's as you were at the start of the weekend, with Bay FC holding a 3-point cushion above the 9th spot and the other chasing playoff teams. Missing out on that big opportunity to jump up the table is Racing Louisville. Probably the toughest loss of the weekend has to go to Bev Yanis' team, who missed another opportunity to make strides on Bay and get into 8th place. They were thrashed 4-1 by the Washington Spirit. McKenna Morris scored a first half brace. Ashley Hatch and Lena Solano then scored 2 goals in the second half, either side of an Emma Sears consolation for the lavender-clad club. This felt like a big defeat for Racing, who have been in the hunt, have made big changes at mid-season and are trying to break a playoff curse where they've never in club history been to the postseason. After the game, despite the big defeat, head coach Bev Yanis was preaching positivity.
I'm going to do whatever I can to continue to motivate this group, because if there's one thing I freaking believe, I believe this group is capable of making playoffs, and that still hasn't changed even with the result tonight. So I think it's very important that the group feels my energy, sees my energy, understands my energy, so that they can mimic the similar thing and surpass it. So I'm going to dig into, obviously how we recap this match itself, kind of what we do, but I'm going to echo that we need to move on. We need to move forward, and we need to continue to believe and belong with what we know we can do.
Now let's hear from the Athletic's Meg Linehan, who's going to tell us why some of these big goals this weekend mean so much more.
We've talked a lot about themes of the season here on Full Time, and there's definitely a few to keep track of. I mean, there's records, there's retirements, just how much of a factor parity has been this season, which is to say not a huge one. But this weekend proved to be a reminder of yet another theme of the season, and that's scoring goals. I mean, goals have been so important this year, and we saw that in a few different ways this weekend, whether it was Utah Royals' Chloe Lacasse getting the first hat trick somehow that's happened this entire season, or Lynn Williams providing a penalty which turned out to be the game-winning goal for Gotham over Chicago, but also her 80th goal across all competitions, hitting a new mark in the league. But of course, we've got to talk about Temwa Chawinga and one of the most important goals this weekend, her 19th, and it was a beauty, which makes it all the more special for what it actually meant. 19th goal, single season goal scoring, record setting goal. Kansas City current head coach Vlatko Andonovski, I mean, his reaction from the bench was a perfect one. Meanwhile, Lo LaBonta is out here counting those goals on her fingers, needing multiple hands to do it. And Sam Kerr's 2019 record has finally fallen on Saturday night. I just only wish that it had happened earlier in the day so that way it got more of the moment it actually deserved rather than that late night NWSL after dark sort of energy. But there are a couple other goals I want to talk about from this weekend too. A massive one from Christine Sinclair, and that's not just because it meant the Portland Thorns got their first win since the Olympic break, but I mean, it really also because Orlando Pride unbeaten until going to Portland. And to be fair, we could talk about some parity here, but Orlando also rested some players. But as a moment, I mean, in one of Christine Sinclair's final pro games as a Thorn in a city that means so much to her, it's really hard to top some of these goals and these moments that we're seeing this 2024 season. But maybe if we've got a candidate for a moment that could top Christine Sinclair getting that goal, it's Kristen Press. Now, Kristen Press obviously has had a long journey back from her ACL recovery. It took her a really long time. And I mean, she even said herself after the game, people were talking about how many days it took me to get back onto the field, whereas all I was thinking about was how many days it took for me to score a goal again. And we got this perfect moment. Again, her 100th cap in the NWSL. She scores a goal. If you have not seen the reverse angle, please go find it online. Please. It is a perfect, absurd Kristen Press goal. But I do think what makes it so special is that reaction she had after that joy, that just uncontainable reaction, that out-of-body moment that she had. Sometimes we can't script better moments than this in the NWSL, but they're always really special to watch.
Now let's round up the rest of the NWSL's weekend action. The Chicago Red Stars officially clinched a playoff spot. Despite a 2-0 loss at home to Gotham FC, Lynn Williams was there breaking the deadlock with a clutch penalty kick in the 88th minute after a very valiant defensive effort from the Red Stars. Gotham head coach Juan Carlos Amoros received a red card for stepping onto the pitch right before that penalty kick was taken. The Utah Royals kept their faint playoff hopes alive with a 3-0 win over the 10-player Seattle Reign. As mentioned at the top of the show, Chloe Lacasse scored a first-half hat-trick, the first hat-trick of any kind in the NWSL this season. The Reign played over 85 minutes with 10 players after Anghara James was dismissed early in the first half. The Reign are now level on points with bottom club Houston Dash. The Dash put in one of their biggest defensive displays this weekend on the road to the San Diego Wave, coming away 2-0 winners on the California coast. Goalkeeper Jane Campbell notched her 50th NWSL clean sheet, with Barbara Olivieri and Ramona Bachman also getting on the score sheet for Houston. In North Carolina, the Courage played out a 1-1 draw with Angel City FC. Kristen Press thought she scored the winner in the 7th minute of second half at injury time, but Olivia Wingate had other ideas and drew level in the 10th minute of stoppage time. What a finish in Cary. Next, we head across the Atlantic to catch up with the Athletics Arsenal correspondent, Art de Rocher. Arsenal lost 2-1 on Saturday at home to Chelsea, the first time ever that Chelsea have beaten the Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium in the WSL. The latest defeat puts added pressure on Arsenal head coach Jonas Edeval, with many fans calling for a big change at the head coaching position.
Hey guys, Art de Rocher here after Arsenal women's 2-1 loss to Chelsea women at the Emirates. This loss has been a very, I'd say, damaging week for not just Arsenal women, but also Jonas Edeval, with how I guess the fan reaction has been. When Chelsea's first goal went in, there were a few boos around the stadium. Same again when the second goal went in. So yeah, it'll be really kind of interesting to see how Arsenal as a club deal with this situation, as it is quite unusual, I feel, to have a managerial change mid-season at a club this big in the WSL. I know Joe Montemurro, Edeval's predecessor, came in mid-season, but that was in 2017. So with the journey that Arsenal have tried to embark on in recent years, whether they stick or twist, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Edeval was asked about his future post-match as well, both in his TV interviews and his press conference. He wasn't trying to add any fuel to any fires that might be out there. It was very diplomatic, I'd say. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting space to watch over the next few days and weeks to see how things progress.
Before we get out of here, there's one more thing I want to mention. On Sunday night, Amandine Henry announced her retirement from international football. At 35, the former Portland Thorns legend leaves the international game with 109 caps and 14 goals. She wrote on social media, "After so many years of passion, challenges and unforgettable memories, it's time for me to turn the page. It's with great emotion that I announce today my decision to end my career with the French team." She closed out her career playing at the 2024 Home Olympics in Paris and also made the quarterfinals with France at the 2019 World Cup. She will be best remembered for her years with Lyon and for the Portland Thorns. This year she did feature for Angel City FC and the Utah Royals ever so briefly. Amandine, bon voyage. We'll be back on Thursday for our weekly episode of Full Time with Meg Linehan, before then returning again every Monday morning until the end of the season with the Full Time Review. To get the full time experience, make sure you're signed up to our free weekly newsletter at theathletic.com/fulltime. You can also email us your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you at fulltime@theathletic.com, and you can follow us at Instagram and TikTok at TA Fulltime. My name is Theo Lloyd-Hughes. If you want to hear about some coffee, soccer in the South, lots of NWSL, Liga MX Femenil and WSL, you can follow me at Theo Lloyd-Hughes on Instagram and Twitter. Special thanks to our video producer Leah Griffin, executive producer Emily Olsen, Meg Linehan and Arthur Roche for stopping by. This has been Full Time Review. See you soon.